All right, hey folks, welcome back to another installment of our Top 100. I'm Sam.
JT.
We are going to be sharing with you numbers 70 through 61. We're getting super close to that mid-mark. So I am anticipating some better games on JT's list, for crying out loud. You have sucked so far.
Yeah, the bottom 30 are kind of worthless.
I've had TI4 slipped.
Yeah.
Last segment, so that is no longer private knowledge. That is out in the wild. So
go back and watch it.
TI4 was slipped from number 2 all the way to I can't remember, 78 maybe, I think.
Yeah,
78,
like
79, something like that. So big slip, and that just shows you that no game is sacred.
No game longer. Is sacred. That's right.
Except for maybe a few.
Except for the good ones.
All right, let's go ahead and hit it.
Right on.
My number 70. You can look.
That's all good. Bam! I didn't read it.
Yep, couldn't read it. Cleopatra and the Society of Architects. Cleopatra and the Society of Architects is my number 70. This is a Days of Wonder game way back in the day. I believe it has been reprinted, but the copy I have is the OG, so to speak.
Old as dirt.
Yeah, pretty close. One of the things that I really enjoyed about it was one of the first games that I experienced where you actually used the box as part of the board. Because Cleopatra's temple, so to speak, kind of set up on top, and that's where you kind of placed all of the different garden tiles in that kind of tile laying aspect of the game. One of the actions you could do is you're building up the courtyard, I guess you could say, of her palace or temple or whatever, and all of the different things that you could build, the obelisks that you could build on either side of the garden, and the tiles that made up the garden and all that kind of stuff. It was really an interesting mechanism. Well, not really a mechanism, more of a gimmick.
Yeah.
More of a gimmick.
Visual. Yeah.
But it was a visual
aid. And if you didn't like what the other person just did, you just go flick the side of the box.
And then get punched in the face. It's
called a mulligan.
It's a mulligan, yeah. We just start all over. But I also like the fact that you had some of the things that you did. You got like curse tokens, and you had to kind of keep those up, and those were like worth negative points to you at the end of the game. I really enjoyed it. It's a worker placement-esque type of game where you're doing these different things around the board and you're building up the temple. I just really thought it was a neat design, and Days of Wonder just usually knocks it out of the park, graphically speaking. So that's why it's my number 70, Cleopatra, the Society of Architects.
And my number 70 is Days of Wonder. No, it's a Days of Wonder game, though.
Ooh.
It is Quadropolis.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Quadropolis is a really good game. You're building a little city.
Yeah, city building.
Yeah. To get it, the tiles for your city, the markets and the apartment buildings and those kind of things come out on this grid. And you have to basically pay with architects. And you have to point at the grid in different directions. And whatever the number on the architect is where you have to reach out and grab that tile. So everybody's following around that grid trying to get all those tiles, creating little districts on your board, whether that be a 4x4 mat or a 5x5 mat, and it's full of districts. And then each of the ports and everything have different rules, different placement rules. Yep. And at the same time you're managing how many people you have coming in and how much energy you have coming in to run your city. Because if you have extra people or energy at the end, they're both negative points. So, it's a nice little tile placement game. It's really fun to...
3D version of this would be really cool.
It'd be really cool. Hey, don't give them ideas.
No.
It would be really cool.
Out of your pocket. I'll just play your
But I really like Quadropolis. It's a really cool game.
Yeah, that's a good pick. Good pick.
And the meeples are little clear meeples, so they're really cool, like red and blue, so they look nice.
That's awesome. Very cool. My number 79.
69.
69. Why did I say 79?
Oh, no. TI4.
Because we just said 70. That's why. My number 69 is a game made by a company that I used to work for and I imagine that this is going to be super high on your list. Like, we're talking, this is probably your top 10. What do you think
What do you got?
What do you think it is?
I don't want to guess. I might tell you if it's in my top 10.
I don't want to guess.
Darkest Dungeon.
Darkest Dungeon! He knew, and I know. Yeah, spoilers, hashtag spoilers. No, Darkest
Now I
Dungeon.
gotta go change the rest of my list.
Darkest Dungeon, this is one of those games that I did not play the video game at all before I knew that there was a board game version coming out. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm working for the company, so I need to know this game, so I need to know about the game that it came from. So that's when I started playing the video game. Yeah. The video game is super hard to be good at. The board games, also super hard to be good at. But I like the board game better than the video game. Now, that's probably anathema to a lot of you people watching.
I agree with that statement.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I like the board game better than the video game.
Cool.
Just because there's people on the table. There's more interaction.
Sure.
Video games, takes it that step because it's multiplayer at that point, right?
Yep.
So you're playing it with other people and having the same trials and tribulations with other people.
Yeah.
And laughing when they do stupid things.
That's me.
And there's enough luck in there. Obviously, there's enough luck in there to hurt you really bad, and you just have to
help you
enjoy
really
it,
good,
or
too.
help you really good. Yeah, you just have to enjoy it and keep on pushing through. That's
That is
the name of
absolutely
the
true.
game. So yeah,
This is one of the, I guess I would categorize this as a dungeon crawler because that's pretty much what you're doing. You're going through the darkest dungeon and you're facing all of these different monsters that are coming up against you, and you're gonna eventually go up against the monster, boss monster of that part of the dungeon. And I liked how each of the different dudes that you had to go up against had a widely different abilities, widely different feel, and even the different parts of the dungeon that you had to go into felt different. And I just really think they did a very good game design wise and making a game that was a definitely good board game, but it felt like the video game as well.
yes,
So that's my number 69,
that
Darkest
might be
Dungeon.
on mine later.
Might
be on mine later.
It's gonna be.
It might be. We'll just leave it at that. My number 69. So I thought you were going to continue the trend and have a Gray Fox game for number 69. But mine is a Gray Fox game, and that is Reavers of Midgard.
Oh, yeah.
I really love Reavers of Midgard.
Bing.
I love the dice. I love the, you're collecting dice. You have your ship of Vikings, and you're going around and pillaging villages, and it's a very point salad-y game, right?
Yes.
There's points all over the place. You can do whatever you want. You can attack monsters. You can, you can trade with villagers. You can go after the runes. You can do all kinds of different things. And the heart of it is you're collecting these Reavers, and they come in 3 different colors: red, blue, and yellow. Mm-hmm. The cards you have 3 different uses. You can either make that card your captain. It's not what they call it. I can't think of the name, but you can put him on your board as a captain, and that will determine as your leader.
Yeah, your leader. I think.
And that will determine which wild sides of dice you get to use.
Yep.
Or you can slide those cards underneath your board to give your different actions more benefits, and kind of build up that tableau and the strength of your crew. Or you can just spend them for the dice that are on top, because you're constantly needing to get more dice. And on those dice, you have treasure chests, and you have axes for combat, and you have all these different symbols. And you're trying to balance all of those in 8 dice, or 8 or 10 dice that you can have. So it's a really nice game, balancing your crew, going through those, and then working with the board. And yeah, I just love it. And it's colorful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
I got to play this game again.
It's a great game.
I got to play this game again. Just from listening to your description of it, I got to play this game again. It's just so much fun, and it has a great table presence.
It does.
Got so much going on. All of the different cards that you can have in that game.
And the theme can technically get lost, right? Sometimes you get, if you're in the wrong mindset or whatever else, it can be pretty themeless.
Nope.
Or you could be like, sweet, my leader and my people and my boat.
Statement.
Yeah.
Incorrect statement.
And you can inject as much theme as you want into it.
Yes.
Or
you better.
You can, and
the Viking theme is there for a reason.
You very much should. Yep.
You very much should. You don't get lost. Don't do what JC just said. Don't get lost. Just stick with the Viking theme.
Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful game.
It is.
I need to buy the mat for it.
Great.
I want the mat, but I haven't.
I don't have the mat. No, I want it to.
All right.
All right. My number 68 has already showed up on one of JT's segments.
Nice.
So what do you think it is?
Oh my goodness. I don't have my segments in front of me.
I know you don't. Just from what you know about me, what do you think this one's? It's already been on one of your segments. We've already had one crossover of Cascadia.
We have.
But this is nothing like Cascadia.
This is not... Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to think too long and hard and they would get bored.
That's true. Scarface, 1920. My number 68. I really enjoy this game. JT is the one that taught it to me. And I really, really, really enjoyed it.
Theme for days.
I've always kind of liked that mobster, gangster theme that's there, especially from like the 1920s, 1930s. Bootleggers was one of the original ones that I really enjoyed that had that kind of gangster mobster theme. And then there's, the one that Tom designed, Nothing Personal.
Yeah.
That was a really fun twist on Kremlin, which had that same kind of pyramid idea to it. But Godfather, the board game that came out, that was a really fun one as well. And this one, just component-wise, just next level type stuff. And I really enjoyed it. I honestly, being transparent, I've only played it the one time.
Yep.
But that was enough to rocket it onto my top 100 because I enjoyed it that much.
It's going to be that good no matter what. It's just going to continue. And expansion, depending on when you're watching this, Bloody Business is about to come out.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
And it'll be on my doorstep in a month, maybe.
Sweet. All right, that's my number 68, Scarface, 1920.
Fantastic pick. My number 68, Melissa doesn't like. No. Melissa's my wife. My number 68 is Space Base.
Oh!
I like Space Base a lot. And it's kind of funny because a few months ago, I kind of go back and forth with Space Base. If you don't play it for a while, you're like, I don't need it or whatever. Then you play it and you're like, this is just good, clean fun, right? My family loves it. Melissa could take it or leave it. She doesn't really care so much about it, but it's always fun. Every time I put it on the table, it's fun. People like that dice rolling, and then it's really nice that you're watching what everybody else's dice do too, right? You're either playing your board or you're playing their dice, right? And you're actually playing both. So if you're playing with 2 players, it's very interesting because your board might be more important, and if you're playing with 4 or 5 players, what you're putting on top can be very much more important. So the strategy will actually change depending on the number of players that you really have on the table. But it's very fun. Dice chucker, just counting the numbers, and it could be a roll and write and all that matters.
I really enjoy this game. It just has one card in it that I hate.
What's that one? Roll the 12 to win?
I win the game. I win the game if I can pull this off.
That one's under the bottom of my... it's not in my game.
Oh, okay, good. You don't like it?
There's cards you don't need. It's under the insert.
That's cool.
Because you actually don't need that card. It doesn't make any sense.
Right. I just don't like that card at all. I know it's hard to pull off. I know I've heard it all. Maybe not all, but I've heard the argument that you're probably thinking in your head. But I just don't like it.
It's not necessary. Yeah, I agree.
But that's a good pick. I do like that game.
Space Base is a great game.
All right, my number 67. Yes. See, here's the thing. I made this list. I don't know. We've been going, almost 3 weeks now?
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't looked at my list ever since I made it.
Nice.
So these are like... So this is a great game. My number 67.
It's
called Run, Fight, or Die. Run, Fight, or Die is a great zombie game designed by Richard Lanius, and it's put out by Gray Fox Games, so there you go. And it has a really neat mechanism to where you are handling your own lane. Yeah, that's good. That's a good way to put it. Your own lane of zombies, and you have weapons and a person that can affect different zones, and it goes 3 zones away. And there's also a boss monster that is out at the top, and it's a cooperative style game, but you also have to very much handle what's in front of you as well as trying to help battle that monster. But you usually can't do both at the same time. Mm-hmm. So you have to balance handling the monsters that are in front of you and battling the boss monster at the same time. It's a lot of dice chucking, really fun game. The Gray Fox version really kind of upped the production level up a little bit, so that's the one that I own, and I really enjoy it. So
I've never played the Gray Fox version. I played the old version.
Yeah, I actually got
a long time.
I actually got my son Michael and I learned how to play it the first time with Richard at Dice Tower East.
Nice.
So it was a really fun experience. Cool. And he's a great guy, by the way. A super great guy. He's definitely kind of a old school type designer. Him and Richard Borg, I kind of lump them into the same kind of category as far as designers are concerned. Just tried and true, and they usually come up with some super good Amerithrashy type games.
Yeah, it's got that good art, that good
absolutely
zombie killing art.
So that is my number 67, Run, Fight, or Die.
Woohoo! My number 67, I was going to say, is probably it's kind of funny because I went back through, not to sidetrack, but I went back through all my lists and I started to put the Board Game Geek ratings on there to see if they were heavy or not, especially after our Great Western Trail debacle. But there wasn't a debacle, but I think this is the heaviest one. It technically is the heaviest one on this list. I don't know if it is. Yeah, it probably is. But my number 67, instead of talking in circles, is Terracotta Army. I really like Terracotta Army.
That's a good
you
one.
are balancing a whole bunch of stuff, but
yes.
you have that double action wheel that moves. So you got 3 levels of that wheel. Every time you're placing a meeple down, every time you're placing one of your guys down, you're taking 3 things, but those are constantly shifting and moving. You're collecting clay so that you can make terracotta men for the army, for the mausoleum, basically, right? Mm-hmm. And there's an inspector that's walking through and checking how well everybody's doing, both horizontally, and so there's a lot of different pieces in play. I mean, technically, it's all about what that grid is doing and how that army's getting put together, but there's so many other cool things that are happening. If you don't use your clay by the end of the round, it dries out, and then you got to get water and wet it back up and everything else. I mean, it's a really nice puzzle.
That's the one that has that part of your board is like something where you're actually placing your dudes, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're placing them with everybody else's, so and you're trying to have majorities. There's different scoring criteria, and those are random for every game. So, and they're random per round, or they're different per round. So you might be working on the bottom left corner, but as soon as the bottom left corner scores, you got to be working on something else. So do you go work on the center line first and let that, everything is a balancing act. And at the same time, you're really trying to get multiple crossbowmen next to each other, yours or other people, because at the end of the game, the big groups, they score better. So,
you said this is the heaviest game on your list?
It's the heaviest game in this 10.
Oh, in this 10, okay.
Yeah, definitely not the heaviest game on my list.
Yeah, I was like, man, that can't be right.
I'll bring that up in a minute, why I said I'm not sure it's the heaviest game on this 10, because I don't think it's extremely heavy.
No, it's not.
It's really thinky, and it's really thinky in a nice pattern building way, but
I really like games that I don't know, it's weird, but I really like games that have some type of round object that have actions on it. Mm-hmm. I don't know, it's just really weird.
Yeah, and like I said, this one has that double action wheel, so one of the wheels moves clockwise and one moves counterclockwise, and so you could have your perfect action coming up, and the person before you could turn this one counterclockwise.
Totally screw everything up.
Yeah, then your whole you got to adjust constantly.
Yep.
right? And it's really fun.
That's cool. Good pick.
Terracotta Army.
All right, my number 66, Order 66, is not a Star Wars game.
Oh.
If I would have thought ahead, I probably would have done that.
Oh.
But I didn't.
You didn't. You failed.
So, I don't know. 60, that's too low for a Star Wars game, in my opinion. But...
No spoilers.
But this one is Azul Stained Glass of Sintra.
Nice.
This is my favorite version of the Azul games. The first one was kind of boring to me because you're just working on like a floor.
A beautiful floor, yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah, sure.
They're nice.
I didn't really like the mechanisms that were
Sure.
employed for the first Azul, but Stained Glass of Sintra, you're building these stained glasses, and I just liked the mechanism of the vertical. I guess you're having to do things in a vertical fashion. It just struck a chord with me better. You're still using a lot of the same kind of mechanisms as far as the I pick, you choose type feel that's there. Being able to pick a certain number off of each grouping, I like that, and that's why I like Azul generally speaking. But this one is my favorite of the one. The Queen's, what was it? The Queen's Garden. Mm-hmm. That had a lot more going on in it, and that's why I didn't like it as much. This Stained Glass of Sintra to me was just kind of Azul the way Azul should have been, in my opinion, with all of the extra frills kind of taken away from it. So that's why it's on my list. None of the other Azuls are on my list, but I do enjoy this one a lot. This is my number 66.
This Azul is a good Azul, especially, and it's one of my favorites too. Having that little mechanism where your worker has to move from left to right across the top, so you're shrinking what tiles you can place on. I mean, that's the thinky part of this one.
And you can take a turn.
You can take a turn to move him back, but you don't get any tiles.
Super useful though, because you don't have to take a tile.
So that guy up there is the difference in stained glass. He's the one. What you do with him, how far you move him. If you're clear over here, and then you decide to take those 3 clear white tiles and move clear over here, you know you're going to have to move right back again. So I mean that adds that extra piece that's really nice.
Yeah, I really like it.
Yep.
All right, what's up for you?
That is a good pick. My number is 66. You've already had... We're trying to make all of the publishers and designers match up, but you've already had Mythic games in this group.
Yes.
And this is a Mythic game.
Oh!
My number 66 is not Darkest Dungeon, because if it was this low, you'd shoot me in the head. No, my number 66 is Super Fantasy Brawl.
Oh, cool.
I really like Super Fantasy Brawl. All the different characters, all of their different abilities. You just grab 3 characters, and it's not just run over there and fight until your characters are dead, something like that. There's this whole list of trophies that you can get for doing other things, controlling areas, or taking somebody out, or getting into the other person, so there's more to think about than just fight.
Yeah.
And that's what makes this one, and their characters are really cool, but that's what makes this arena combat different than all the rest.
You can.
Sure.
You can just go in and like go battle. Sure. You can do that, but you only get 1 trophy for knocking somebody else's character out, and sometimes it can take a long time, especially if they have the right defense cards in their hand.
I've played this quite a few times. I don't think I've ever seen anybody win by just battle.
No,
never.
No, you can. I don't know that you can win doing that, but you can play it that way. Sure. And if both of you are playing it that way, then fine and dandy, have at it.
Yep.
But if one of you determines, I think I'm going to try to get this trophy, that kind of stops the whole battle.
Oh, why are you putting all your guys in blue right now? Oh, no. Yeah, that's a
oh, crap.
Yep, that's a good one. So, and all the different characters, just so many different cool characters.
So many different cool characters. Yep. And they all have their own little twist to them. So, good pick.
Yep.
All All right, my number 65. My number 65 is one of my favorite worker placement games ever, and that is a game called Stone Age. Stone Age is what I would consider a family worker placement Euro game, but I also like it because it has some dice rolling in it as well, where you are actual
a little bit.
Producing your resources with those dice rolls. So it's not pure thinky. There's a random element in there, and that's why I think it's more of a family weight Euro style worker placement game than your tried and true Euro game that has worker placement in it.
I think this is mostly because you like to feed your kid rocks. But that's what I'm thinking.
I don't feed my kids rocks. There's a lot of rocks out here, but I don't feed them to my kids. But this is one of the first, not really first, but one of the first few worker placement games that I really started liking that mechanism with. Yeah. So it has just kind of stayed with me, and the family weight of it has just made it more useful. Yeah. So it's really kind of stood out on its own for this long. So that's my number 65, Stone Age.
Beautiful game. And if you want the winter version, just cost you $85 or something like that.
You do not need to go get the winter
You do not need the winter version.
It is not worth it.
But it's pretty.
Yeah, it is pretty.
All right, my number 65, which I think, I don't know why I said that earlier, but which I think is a heavier game than Terracotta Army. I would say it's a heavier game than Terracotta Army.
What does BGG say, though?
They don't say it's a Terracotta Army's a 3.33, and this one's a 3.26. So there's huge disparity. No, I'm just kidding.
Huge.
Anyways, my number 65 is Dinosaur World. This will be one of those locations, I think we talked about at the very beginning, where I own Dinosaur World, I own Dinosaur Island, and I currently own Dinosaur Island Roaring Right. But Dinosaur World, to me, is the pinnacle of those three.
Cool.
So it's the only one on my list. Dinosaur World, you are creating your park. And it's all with hexagonal tiles that you're putting together. You're creating pathways for your little Jurassic Park Jeep to drive through, to give tours, which just adds that little, you got those beautiful amber dice in all three of those games with DNA on them and everything else. You're rolling these dice. You're drafting dice. Everybody else is drafting dice. Mm-hmm. You're trying to get attractions and pins and all those kind of things. You're trying to get new people working in your group, in your deal, and at the same time you're trying to create dinosaurs for people to come and see. So Dinosaur World is the thinkiest of all of those games. Its truth is I would still pull out Dinosaur Island because maybe Dinosaur World is a little bit too heavy to play with some people, but I just love those games. I love the whole, I'm in Jurassic Park, I like that kind of stuff anyways, and this is my version of Jurassic Park.
He knows dinosaurs by their real names.
I do. Well, my son does, so I have to.
Yeah.
But, yes. Dinosaur World.
Cool,
great game.
I like it. My number 64. And this one is another bomb.
Oh, it doesn't belong here?
No, it's not that. It's just that this one has slid.
Oh.
I think
Blood Rage. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just going to keep throwing that out there until number one.
It might be right one of these times. But this one is, I got the most guff because people said I included this game on too many top 10s.
Uh-oh.
So, but that's not why it slid. It just has not really fallen from grace. I just haven't played it very often. And much like TI4 in the last segment, I just haven't been able to get it to the table. This one I haven't been able to get to the table as much either, and it is Bang the Dice Game.
Oh, gotcha.
Bang the Dice Game. And I don't know that there's any other real reason other than more games have been coming out.
I think that's
so
a big one.
It just kind of eases on down the road, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But it's still a great game. I picked up a game at Origins called, if I can see it over there, Cult of the Deep. One of the reasons why I wanted try out Cult of the Deep was because the person said this is based off of Bang the Dice game, and that has that similar feel of rolling dice and affecting people around the table and that kind of thing, but it goes a little bit deeper than that.
I have never played Bang the Dice game. I've played Bang 100 times.
The card game?
The card game, but I've never played the dice game.
Did you like Bang the card game?
Yeah, for a time. Yeah, I think Bang's the same kind of thing, like you said. It's just as time has gone by, the mechanics have gotten old, right?
Sure.
There are so many social deduction games now and everything else that are out that it's just kind of
I don't necessarily think that
at least for the
it's
card
made
game.
itself obsolete. Well, the card game to me is obsolete because the dice game is, I enjoy it so much more. But I did enjoy the card game back in the day, don't get me wrong, but I think the dice game does the same thing that the card game does, just better. So I don't have a reason to play the card game any longer. I don't think that other games have come out that do what it does better. I just think that other games have come out, which has meant that the number of times that I'm able to get the dice game, Bang the Dice game to the table has diminished, which means that it has slid a bit in my, not necessarily my liking of it. I think
that's fair.
But how...
Had a ton of fun playing Bang, and I know you've had a ton of fun playing
Absolutely.
That one, so.
Still on my top 100, though, so that does say something. But that's my number 64, Bang the Dice game.
Fantastic. My number 64 is from Come On, and that is Massive Darkness Simon. Simon, come on.
Massive Darkness?
Massive Darkness 2, Hellscape. Not that I'm a huge fan of the theme of it exactly. I'm not so much angels and demons type of thing, but the gameplay is super fun. Like if this is a much lighter, faster, I don't want to say funner version of Zombicide, right? It's something where you're just blowing through with your wizard or your ranger, and you're just going through this dungeon crawl, and they're very nice dungeon crawls. The boards are nice, the setups are nice. Like I said, it has a door mechanism where if you walk through a door, you're gonna get an event card, and that will do different things. Yeah. The coolest part about it is all of the characters are asymmetric, and they're significantly asymmetric to the point where you haven't played Massive Darkness 2. You've played the first one.
The first one. Have you played the first one?
No.
Dang it.
No,
I wanted to see how it compares. Because
it blows it away.
You don't.
It blows it away. So the interesting thing in this one, and I don't think they did it in the first one, is if you're playing, every character has their own almost asymmetric gameplay. Really? So if you're the ranger, you have an arrow deck, which is basically a push your luck. You're trying to flip over, and every card has 1 through 4 arrows on it. If you can hit exactly 7 arrows, you get a bonus to your attack. Where if you go over 7 arrows, you have negatives to your attack. And anything in between. So he's playing this whole push your luck game the whole time with his cards. Every time he shoots his bow, he's got to push his luck and see if he does a whole bunch of extra stuff or if he really flops.
And if you hit 7 exactly, you get a bonus. But what if you go below?
Then
you still hit?
Then there's a middle line of stuff that you get, right? Okay. Every single one of them plays completely different.
Okay, we got to play this.
So you're playing this cool board game, but you're playing your own little character game at the same time.
Coming to a live stream play
very
right
soon.
Here on the Flipside very soon.
Yeah,
I'm making that decree right now. We got to play this. All right, my number 63 is I don't know if this has been on your. I don't think this has been. I don't even know if this is going to be on your list. I think it might be, but it is Mission Red Planet.
It was on my list.
I thought it was. I just couldn't remember for sure.
97, maybe 96, 97.
Yeah, I really enjoy this game a lot. I love the deck of characters that you have, where it's simultaneous action selection, and all of those different characters do different things. You can kind of protect yourself, or you can really kind of undermine somebody else's, thwart somebody else's plans by getting your dude on to be the last one on that ship and kicking their dude off and that kind of stuff. The area control, the mechanism that's up on Mars, is just really fun. There's just so many cool things that's going on. I think this is Bruno Cathala and Bruno Fiducci. I think this is one of those two Brunos games, and I just really have enjoyed it over
It's a fantastic game. My favorite thing to do... Hi, dog. My favorite thing to do is to have you put your 3 guys on a spaceship, go into there, and changing it to making it go over there. That's my favorite one. Just sending somebody's ship to the wrong freaking area.
Yep.
No,
So,
that's a great game.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right. My number 63, Mission Red Planet.
My number 63 is becoming a ginormous game. Yeah, for sure. And that is Marvel United.
Oh.
Marvel United.
I gave up on trying to get into this game.
Oh my gosh, I already have stacks and we have multiverse coming and it's just unbelievable. Marvel United, just for the chibi miniatures, I could have walls full of these miniatures that are just awesome. But and specifically the X-Men version, I do like the X-Men version better than the original version because they made some changes. They made your decks a little bit better. But you're taking your characters, you've got this 6 areas around the board. There's a ton of different enemies that you're trying to defeat, and you're just taking Thor and Wolverine and whatever, the Silver Surfer around and trying to destroy whatever Taskmaster or whatever kind of enemy you want. But there's just so many combinations of characters. You each have your own deck of cards, like 12 cards. Which is not only your deck, but it's also your life pool. So you only have so many cards to play before you run out of time. Every enemy does something completely different. They all play completely different. It's just a great game, and it's great. My kids love it. Everybody loves it.
Yeah,
it's really easy to get into.
I think it's the chibis that have pushed me away.
Yeah.
I'm just not a big fan of chibi miniatures, and they look great. Don't get me wrong; they just look weird to me.
Yeah, so, no, I understand that. And when you got the Sentinels out for the X-Men, and they're this tall, they look amazing.
Yeah.
No, but it's a great game, super fun game.
Pardon Strider; he's getting a little antsy, but he'll be
all right.
fine.
We like Strider.
Yeah, we like Strider. Okay, my number 62 is a game about building your dwarf army for the king. Nidavellir, my number 62. And this has, it's a really cool bidding, drafting game. That's really where the crux of the gameplay resides. But I really like the theme of you're building your dwarf army for your king. And I've just, and really it's just about scoring the most points, getting the most, getting the right dwarves into your army that will score you the most points. And it's a really simple game in that respect. But the artwork is really cool, kind of minimalistic, but really cool as well. I liked the very stark white
artwork's
design of most of the cards on the box, and the box rather. So this is just really stuck into my mind. It was kind of a surprise. I can't remember if you showed it to me first or if I learned how to play it somewhere else. Were you?
Yeah.
And I just remember looking. Me and Jess were playing it and looking at her. And I was like, I gotta buy this game because it was just really, really a fun game. So that's my number 62. Nidavellir.
You haven't seen this one on my list. If it ever came out with nice, I want like metal coins. For all of those freaking tokens. But yeah, this is a great game.
Metal coins is an auto add to most games.
Yeah, but this one in particular, just because of the way you're bidding and the awesome mechanic of where you're upgrading your chips by not spending them up here in the bidding round. It's pretty cool.
Yep.
So. Yep, that's a great pick. My number 62 is Thunderworks Games.
Ooh.
And that is Role Player.
Oh, cool.
I've loved Role Player.
I played it like maybe once or twice.
Yeah.
I just don't think it was my bag.
Yeah. Well, I understand that.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to...
He just poo-pooed on my game. No.
I did.
No, Role Player is a really good game. We already know I like D&D. We play a lot of D&D. Well, I don't play a lot of D&D, but we play D&D. I've played that for a long time.
Yeah.
Role player, you're creating a D&D character that you could never play in the real D&D game. But
I think we should.
No,
We
they
should
would be
use-
way overpowered.
No, you're the
But-
DM. You can make the
That's right.
campaign the
Every
way you want
enemy
it
would
to
be
be.
overpowered. That's right. But you're taking a class, you're taking a race, you're taking an alignment, you're taking a backstory. All of these things are randomized, and you're putting them together, and then you're trying to make your dice maximized in your 6 ability scores to make all of those different things work together. At the same time, you're gaining equipment, you're gaining... if you have the expansions, you're fighting monsters, you're fighting a boss, you're doing all these kind of things. You're getting familiars, all of this cool things to just kind of create this D&D character. But that being said, creating a D&D character sounds easy, but there's mechanics to every dice placement. There's very important, all these different dice colors. It's a lot thinkier than you think, and I think that's where people could get bogged down.
Sure.
And that's maybe where you got stuck, depending on your play. But great game.
I don't think my character would be overpowered. So
Why?
I'm just not very good at the game.
Most of the time we roll a bunch of 18s, and then you have 2 stats that are like 3 and 5. So it might be the worst character you ever saw. But
I'm really ugly, but I'm super
that's
buff.
right. Super buff.
No, but I think that would be a cool thing. I think we should play a game of role player, and then we have to take those characters,
Well, technically...
transfer them over to 5th edition, and go.
Yeah, there you go.
I think that would be a cool thing
You
to
could
do.
try it. Technically, they did that with Role Player Adventures.
Yeah.
Because you can take those role player characters and put them in Role Player Adventures and play them. But it's just background stats at that point. So
Yeah.
it is what it is. But you could try it for sure.
I think we should
A barbarian with three intelligence, just a little bit below a mastiff or something. So, anyways, Role Player. It's a beautiful game. 1,000 dice. I love dice.
Very cool. My number 61 is our first segmental crossover.
Awesome.
So this
That
is on
is-
one of yours in this list.
It's one of these ones.
Yep. What do you think it
It
is?
would have to be Super Fantasy Brawl.
Ding, 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 ding. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Super
Nice.
Fantasy Brawl. My number 61. And this is, for me, it's my... no, it's not my favorite. There's another game that's better than this. It's higher on my list. And it's almost the exact same game. It's just a little bit more crunchy in how you can score points and all that kind of stuff. But Super Fantasy Brawl is super good. I can't tell you the name of the
You're
other one
famous
because-
what? Arena Battler? Like, what's the...
Yeah, Arena Battle.
Okay.
Yeah.
You didn't give us the classification of... It's my famous game.
combat game.
Gotcha.
Arena combat game. There's another one that I really enjoy.
Nice.
It's better, but it has... This is like the family version of that other game that we'll talk about later.
Right on.
And that's why I like it so much, because you can pick up this game and play it with somebody. I can probably teach somebody how to play this game with,
Super Fantasy Brawl?
Super Fantasy Brawl in about 10 minutes.
Yep.
Or less.
Yep.
If I've taken 10 minutes, you're not understanding something, I'm not communicating it well. It does not take a long time to learn how to play this game. It's super easy. It's very procedural, and that's what makes it so easy. And that's what I liked about it. I also like the fact that you mentioned earlier, you cannot just go out and punch people in the face and expect to win. You have to strategically try to knock that dude out, but then score these points for that trophy. Or score this trophy and protect your dudes, and then the next time take that person out when they're low on health or whatever. And that's what I really like about this game. Super good. Lay down. Lay down.
Strider's excited about our list.
Yeah, he's antsy.
He likes Super Fantasy Brawl.
And he's not being very obedient right now.
All right.
But we'll give him a break.
But that is a good pick. My last one, we're almost there, Strider. Relax. My last one, number 61, which is the best game on this list out of the 20, according to me. I'm just kidding. And that is Marvel Dice Throne. You could say Dice Throne, but Marvel in particular, because as we all do, we know the Marvel characters. So when you're playing them, they give you that much more theme, right? Otherwise, if you're playing Dice Throne, you got 100 characters, all great themes. But Marvel in particular is my favorite of the Dice Thrones. You can play this with anybody. You could just take 2 of those with you on a trip, throw them out there, open your board, chuck dice, and beat each other up.
Yeah.
Dice Throne's just a great game. So.
I cannot agree more.
My number 61.
61, that's a great pick. But, spoilers,
it's too low for you.
Incredibly too low.
It's a great game.
It's a very much a good game.
Yep.
But that is our 70 through 61. Thank you for joining us. We're going to get out of here. But what are your predictions?
There you go.
What are your predictions? I want you to tell us what you think is coming up in
that would be interesting.
The next segment,
really
even.
Yep.
The next segment or the top 50. What do you think games are going to be in the top 50? Based on, because I mean, this is JT's first time doing this, but as he gives you more
you could probably predict
games,
some of them.
You
That'd
can
be great.
maybe predict what games are coming up for him and what games are coming up for me as well. So I'd invite you guys to do that in the comments below.
Yep, and tell us how wrong we are on these ones.
Absolutely. We are wrong and we know it. You have the right to be wrong as well.
It's not true. I have the best games. Period. Take it easy.
I don't think so. We'll see you guys and gals on the flip side. Take care.
Yep.